Ronnie Ward from the Ditmas section of the Flatbush neighborhood, Brooklyn, in the city of New York. Sunday, the 6th day of October, 2024. NSA releases internal 1982 lecture by computing pioneer Rear Admiral Grace Hopper. Posted to YouTube August 26, 2024. 237,500 views. Today, the National Security Agency released a copy of an internal lecture delivered by Rear Admiral Grace Hopper from August 19, 1902. Known as one of the most influential figures in the development of early computing technology, Hopper's contributions have left an indelible mark in the field of computer science, particularly in the realm of programming language. The lecture, which Hopper delivered during her tenure at the NSA, provides a rare glimpse into the thoughts and expertise of a woman who played a pivotal role shaping modern computing as the pioneer force behind the creation of COBOL, one of the first high-level programming languages. Hopper's work had the foundation for software development practices that are still in use today. Her lecture covers not only technical expertise in computing, but also her visionary ideas on the future of technology and its application in various forms.
Totally forgotten how tremendously that changed the world. You could have any color you wanted as long as it was black. They cost between $300 and $600, and people started to own cars. Naturally, once they had cars, they demanded roads. We built them. Gas stations appeared. Garages could stock the interchangeable parts. They appeared. People found they could move to suburbs and drive to work. Then, of course, they wanted to shop near home, so we had to build shopping centers. I think we've forgotten the tremendous developments that followed from the Model T Ford. Now, whether you recognize it or not, the Model Ts of the computer industry are here. We've been through the preliminaries of the industry. We're now at the beginning of what will be the largest industry in the United States. And I'm quite worried about something. When we built all those roads and the shopping centers and all the other things and provided for automobile transportation, we forgot something. We forgot transportation as a whole. We only looked at the automobiles. Because of that, today when we need them again, the roadbeds of the railroads are falling apart. They're dumping polyvinyl chloride around the countryside. If we wanted to move our tanks from the center of the country to the ports to ship them overseas, there are no flat cars left because we move all the cars on those racks on the roads now. If we wanted to move coal to replace oil, there are probably not enough hopper cars to move both the grain crop and the coal. And the truth of the matter is we've done a lousy job of managing transportation as a whole. Now, as we come to the world of the microcomputer, I think we're facing the same possibility. I'm afraid we will continue to buy pieces of hardware and then put programs on them, when what we should be doing is looking at the underlying thing, which is the total flow of information to any organization, activity, company, or what have you. We should be looking at the information flow and then selecting the computers to implement that information flow. Now, of course, if we do that, one of the first things we'll need to know is something about the value of the information we're processing. It's close to 8 years now that I've been trying to ask people how they valued their information. I've gotten the finest assortment of blank stares you ever saw in your entire life. They even questioned whether there was a difference. Naively, I thought I could find out how people were valuing their information if I could find out how priorities were assigned on the computer systems. Boy, did that go flat fast. I found out exactly how the priorities are assigned. Top priority goes to the senior squeaky wheel, not to the most valuable information. Some people even questioned that there was a difference in the value of information. I use as an example a chemical plant I know up in Michigan that's totally operated by computer. Information comes in from marketing, goes to the computer. It opens valves, pushes stuff through pipes, tells inventory what it's made. The people are paid by the computer. Nice computerized reports go up to the president's desk. Now let's suppose that two pieces of information enter that flow simultaneously from two different ports in the system. One comes from a valve out in the plant and says, if you don't open me, the plant's going to blow up. You have less than a minute in which to act, 100 lives at stake, $100 million chemical plant. At the same instant, in the other part of the system comes the fact that Joe did 2 hours of overtime. Which is the more valuable piece of information? And what are our criteria? I've mentioned 3 possible criteria. The time in which we have to act, the number of lives affected, the number of dollars affected. I think there's a 4th, the importance of that piece of information in making decisions. No work, no research has been done on the value of information. We've completely failed to look at it. And yet it's going to make a tremendous difference in how we run our computer systems of the future. Because if there are 2 things that are dead sure, I don't even have to call them predictions. One is that the amount of data and the amount of information will continue to increase, and it's more than linear. And the other is the demand for instant access to that information will increase, and those 2 are in conflict. We've got to know something about the value of the information being processed. Everybody wants their information online. If one department gets an online system, then all the other departments want an online system. In many cases, that's a matter of prestige, not of actual need. I played a very mean trick on one activity. I tucked a counter in every record. Every time the record was looked at, I added one. At the end of 6 months, I printed out everything which had not been looked at. One entire file fell out. Yet the owner of that data had insisted that his information must be online. It was a matter of prestige to have his information online, not that he really needed it there. One outfit has taken a second look at the data from that point of view. It's the Coast Guard. They had a file which contained the complete history of every buoy. And when a ship went out to maintain the buoys, they'd look in the file to see what had been done about the buoy over the last couple of years and whether any message had been left to look at something next time. Those records started years ago as a punch card, and they'd gotten longer and longer and longer and longer over the years. The whole system was slowing down, and yet they needed rapid access to it. So I took a second look at those records. And they said, hey, we don't need that whole record online. All we want online is the last couple of years. We don't need to know when we bought the buoy and how much it cost unless we're going in for a budget to get a new buoy. We can have that answer tomorrow or the next day. They chopped those records. The front end of it that they need for reference to go out and maintain the buoy is online. The rest of the record is going back to batch, and you can have the answer tomorrow or the next day. Somewhat the same thing has been done by Tactical Air Command at Langley. They were carrying online for assignment on base the complete record and history of every person. The whole system was slowing down because the records were so long. So they took a second look at the records. And they said, hey, we don't need that whole record when we're assigning a man on base. All we need to know is the last couple of schools he's been to and the last couple of assignments he's had. We don't care where he went to high school. So they chopped the records. The immediate past history is online. The rest of it's going back to batch, and if he's going up for an award or a promotion or something, you can have that tomorrow or the next day. They've begun to look, at least, at the time value of the information. There's been no research in this area. There's no one publishing papers, not even on the relative value of information within an organization. Nobody is looking at the value of information or comparative value of different pieces of information. And we've got to look at it because it's cluttering up our online systems. And we've got to know more about the value of information in order to design the systems of the future. I thought up a couple of curves. I have no numbers to put on them. The research hasn't been done yet. But at least I think I can talk about the shape of them. Suppose this is dollars, and this is time. And an event occurs here. Now, the value of the information about that event goes up quite sharply immediately after the event. But the further you get away from the event in time, the more the value of that information levels off. It goes up very sharply, and it levels off. Now, ultimately, it gets replaced by a new piece of information. Or we decide we don't need it online anymore. We transfer it to historical files, microfilm, or something like that. Of course, in industry, they have to save it for the IRS. So the value curve probably looks something like that, a sharp rise, a leveling off, and then an eventual transfer to some form of historical file. What about the cost of that information? Cost of information is very, very low at the time of the event. But the further you get away from the event in time, the more the cost you pile up to store it, maintain it, and add any information to it. So the cost curve starts low, and then it goes zooming up. Now there's a lovely crossover point there. That's the point at which keeping that information in our online system is costing us more than it's worth to us. But because we don't know where that point is, we have no way of getting stuff out of our online systems. And that depends on knowing something of the value and the cost of the information concerned. We've got a big job to do in investigating those areas. As a matter of